Hello and welcome. Today I have a pair of XTR M900 shifters 3x8. These were fairly hard to get hold of at a reasonable price, especially since my ultimate plan is just to do a video on a rebuild of them. So unfortunately, like many of the XTR shifters, the caps for the pods are broken on both sides. One I might be able to just simply repair. I already found like a kind of a solution by just getting a larger head screw that holds the cap in place. And the other one is completely finished. It's got a gigantic crack right here. However, it will make a good video to rebuild. So today I think I'm going to start off with the right sides, so the 8-speeded sides. So let's get started. So both of these shifters that I've got have issues with the shifting. They're very dirty inside and sticky. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to release all the tension in the return spring. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the bolts. We can take off the shifter from the main body. I'm going to remove the screws to take off that cap. So you can see here there's a pile up of green and dirt on all the parts on the mechanism. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to remove this nut that's locking down the parts of the mechanism. It's going clockwise. I'm going to go ahead and remove this top plate that's holding down that spring. In fact, I might be able to just uncatch that spring. Next, there's the spring, and that's holding on, latching onto this part here. So we can take that off. Underneath that, there's a bushing / washer. We can now remove the lever. Take off the spring. Underneath that there's another bushing. Okay, so now we're taking off the other lever arm. Underneath that is a copper plate. Since we're going to do a full clean, I'm going to take out this part here. I really don't want to, but I feel like it's necessary. So we're going to go ahead and take off that spring. You can actually push this part out as well. So I'm going to remove the circlip on this tiny little pull that's on the lever. So I'm putting a something really thin at this tip of this flat-headed bit. You can now take off that pull. And remove the spring. I figured while I was doing this I might as well just clean the lever as well. So the lever's pretty simple. There's like a clip at the back here, and with your fingers you can literally kind of push all the clips at one time, and that will release this part here that I'm taking off. So remove that. So once you've done that, you need to take off this kind of like little suspension return spring part. I'm using these tweezers, and you kind of push it down, and now you can take that off. Once you've done that, there's a Allen bolt at the back of that. Take that off, and once you've done that, you can now push this other pivoting part that runs through the lever, and now this should come out. On the other end of the lever you have this these two little bits that you can remove There's a tiny little pivot there. Take that off. You can then take that off. The part that pulls the brake cable, little kind of bushing thing, and another holder at the back. So you have all these little bits. I'm going to go ahead and clean all the parts, degrease them, so soapy water, etc. And we'll move on to the rebuild of this shifter. Finally, we've reached the hardest part anyway, the rebuild of this shifter. It took me quite a while to clean everything, but I got there in the end. There's still some bit of dirt, but I got the hardest parts out. So let's begin. So we're going to put this kind of ratcheting sprocket back on this nylon part. It's pretty self-evident where it goes, as there's a specific slot for its shape. So you're just pretty much putting this down. Next, we're going to put the return spring under this type of nylon. It's like a bushing or sprocket. One tip of that spring is sticking out, and that's going to go into that slot right here. It's quite a tight fit, so that's good. I've got that inside. Now I'm going to put this main pivot back in. Now there's some teeth there at the back that you can see, and for this is going to go in a specific way. There's only one way to put it back in. Okay, I found the place where it needs to go in. Now the other tip of that spring's going to go into the bottom hole there, not this one. So to get that spring tip into the hole, I'm going to just use this to aim in the right place. And now if I push down, it's gone through. Okay, so this part's really important. I didn't know this. I built it up and then I figured it out after. This, before you start putting everything, this actually needs to be tensioned, and the best way to do that is to put the sprocket back onto the mount. And then once you've done that, you can use a plier, and you kind of need to just keep clicking until it's tensioned enough. You kind of just need to keep going until it clicks in a certain place where it's so tensioned that it's going to pretty much, you're going to start going into the shifts. So this will be the first one, and there you know you can pretty much build this up like I'm about to do on the next stage. On top of this you have the copper plate. See the two little pulls, sprocket parts there, go through the holes. So first we're going to put the lever, which is on the top here. Now the bushing is going to go on the top here. This is the thinner bushing. There's two of them. One's slightly thicker though for the other lever. I'm going to put a bit of grease here as well. And we can put this on the top. Okay, so now we're going to put one of the return springs for the lever. So it's going to pretty much go like this. And if you look, there's just a little tip here that's like sticking out, and that's where that hook part of the spring goes. On this plate there's one part here that's really sticking out, and it's going to go towards this position if you look at the lever and the part that's going down. And the other tip of the return spring is going to go behind this type of notch that's like sticking out. Hold that plate down, try and slip this underneath. Looks like it's worked on that side. We'll get the test out after anyway. We're going to put the pull back on to the lever here. So for the spring, there's one part that's quite short and one part that's much longer. The longer part's going to be for the pivot. So the spring pretty much goes on the top here and kind of just sits at the back. And for the pull, it appears to go in like this direction. The spring's just holding on the top of it like that. Let's check if that's correct. Yeah, it looks like it's that. Right, so that's good to install now. Now this pull here needs to be pushed back when you're going to put this on, and we're going to sit that pull right here in that kind of space, and this is going to be, the pull is going to eventually be pushing this sprocket towards here. So I'm going to go ahead and put that on the top. Now I've already mounted the bushing. Make sure that's properly down the top. We can put that bushing now, and that sits kind of going through. So you can test this now fully, and I'm going to check, and it's working perfectly. The return spring for this top lever, so that hook part on the spring is going to go down here underneath. The next is the this plate that goes on the top, and that tip of that spring is going to go, it's going to go right here. So I'm going to have a go now at doing that. So push that down. I'm going to bring it towards here. I think I've got it. Yeah, got it. So for the final part, I'm going to put a bit of Loctite on the nut. So while that dries, I'm going to take the shifter out of the main body, so we can put the seals back into place. So this cover's pretty much broken, so you don't have to follow me on this part. I'm just kind of doing what I've got. So there you go, that's the first one done. Stay tuned for the second part, which should be coming up shortly. Hope this helped you repair and service your XTR M900 combo shifter. It's actually pretty easy to do compared to other Shimano shifters that I've done. This one was relatively simple. So thank you for listening, and until next time, peace out.